Welcome to Pace University, and welcome to our third Summit on Resilience. This is going to be a fascinating day, I think, exchanging ideas on one of the most critical issues of the 21st century.
Today's summit is devoted to discussing one of the looming crises of the century, the challenges and conflicts surrounding water issues. This is the third in a series of continuing conversations about resilience and what it means to our local and global communities.
We hear about water stories in the news every day, about droughts, about floods, about shortages, about conflict, contamination events. A lot of the ecological problems that we see today are water-related.
How do we deal with the water challenges that we're facing at the same time as we start to build social capital?
How do we address this? We need to get the people on our side.
How do we spur that innovation?
How do we get people to care? Everybody wants clean water, right? Nobody wants their children to have to drink contaminated water.
I'm surrounded by students that want to know, how can I make a difference with my science?
How do we spend the limited money we have? That's a critical question. But the other piece of the question is, do we really understand what the cost of not doing something is?
What are our paths forward? And what's going to keep us standing on our tracks?
The more people connect with their waterways, the more they understand the value of those waterways.
We focus our outreach on low-income communities, but our goal is to get kids down on the water's edge, experimenting with oysters and learning about the factors that play into whether or not they can survive and reproduce.
We are piloting a citizen science monitoring program. So we're getting people, they don't have to be scientists, although they could be, to come out and collect the water samples and get involved and get engaged.
On the one hand, water is a profoundly local issue. On the other hand, the challenges to meeting the human right to water are happening on multiple scales globally.
You need to mold public attitude to water by getting the price right. Water should never be free.
I think we need to understand that water is fundamentally an economic question for the future of the planet, and the allocation of resources is an economic question.
We've thought about water as an economic good for a long time, but finally in 2010, the UN declared a human right to water, a legal human right to water out of the UN Human Rights Council in Geneva.
About 5 years ago, the World Bank released a report where they said the world has kind of reached a tipping point where demand for fresh water exceeds supply. That's not getting any better. So GE says we need to do something about this from a technology standpoint. And we're very focused on water reuse technology.
Does it have to be technology just for the commodity of water? Can it also be to advance the goals of our national water policy?
The Clean Water Act is a great law. It's not perfect. It only works when it's strongly and vigorously enforced. And it also needs to be coupled with investments. We need a strong EPA because water pollution doesn't recognize state boundaries, and having 50 different water quality standards makes no sense.
We're in a world of peak constraints, but I think we're in the middle of a transition to a sustainable future. This is really good news.
Our future lies in the hands of the young, and it's our job to inspire them.
We work with about 7,000 middle school students a year, and each one of them, if you have a conversation with them, has a new understanding, a new affinity, and a new sort of relationship with the harbor and with the animals that live in it.
I think the real hope is making sure that citizens and students are well informed, that they become politically active. I don't mean that in a partisan way. I think that's the only hope here is democracy.
This is the third summit, but it's the first one that was developed after the initiation of the Dyson College Institute for Sustainability of the Environment. While the Institute was initially developed to coordinate all of the environmental activities within Pace University across all the schools, including educational and co-curricular, one of the major initiatives is to foster conferences such as these, which we hope with further discussions with the participants will enable us to develop additional educational programs, outreach activities, and research opportunities in various aspects of environmental problems.